Hello and welcome to the daily chapter reading of Some of It Was Real. Chapter 15, Thomas. I didn't tell Sylvia as we drove through High River that I'd been here before. My dad took us once midsummer on a windy day to watch the windsurfers race along a river that roiled with waves. We also tried to fish but didn't catch anything. It was the summer before Dad and Deacon died in the car wreck. My big brother, who was 5 years older, insisted we listen to NPR on our way to and from High River. He was already obsessed with the news cycle and politics in particular. I push away from the memory, focus on the here and now. We drink green tea at a farm-style wood table in a modern kitchen. Worn soapstone counters, a sub-zero refrigerator, proofing oven, and a well-used 6-burner Wolf stove showcase that cooking is a priority in Sylvie's childhood home. Hannah doesn't offer sugar, but I force down the pale green liquid. Sylvie cradles the teacup between her hands and watches the steam curl. When Hannah offers me a shortbread cookie, I take two to overwhelm the dishwater taste in my mouth. Sylvie takes one but doesn't eat it. This house isn't what I expected. Every wall is hung with photos. The ones in the kitchen show Sylvie fishing beside her dad, making pies with Hannah, ballet class in a pink tutu, rafting down river rapids with her mouth in a perfect O of fear and jubilation. It appears an idyllic childhood. The shot of her graduation in the hallway was the most telling. Unlike her parents, she didn't look into the camera. Did she know she was going to leave then? Would I have had the courage to turn my back on the path my parents had chosen for me? I never faced that decision. After Dad and Deacon died, I was mostly on my own. I have to give Sylvie some credit. It takes strength to embark into the unknown. It also takes strength, though not of character, to perpetrate a scam on Sylvie's level. Sylvie asks, "How's the weather been?" Hannah takes another sip of tea. Warm spring, buds came early, cherry growers are worried. I ask why. Sylvie spins her cookie on the table. If the buds come too early and we get a heavy frost, it kills them, she explains. And if the fruit comes in too early and we get a week of heavy rain, the sugar soaks up the water and the cherries split. That's why cherries are way more risky than pears or apples. How long have you two known each other? Hannah asks. I wait for Sylvie to reply, but she raises one brow. She wants to make me lie. A year. That's how long I've been researching my expose. How'd you meet? Two can play this game. At one of Sylvie's shows, right, honey? Sylvie smiles. Thomas came onto the stage for a personal reading. He was married for 5 years. His wife died cancer. It was a really, really sad situation. He brought her wedding ring for me to hold so I could connect to the other side. Hannah abruptly stands. She opens the refrigerator door, pulls out chicken breasts and an assortment of vegetables, withdraws a cutting board from an iron drawer. She woodenly says, "I'm sorry for your loss, Thomas." I nod to avoid the lie. Sylvie puts a hand on my arm, gives it a squeeze. The warmth from her palm seeps into my skin. Her fingers are long, elegant. When they ran through my hair, I reflexively leaned in. My voice warms at her touch, and I slide my arm free. Sylvie says, Thomas needed disclosure, and I was grateful for the opportunity to help. After the show, he came backstage, asked me out for a coffee. We've been together ever since, joined at the hip, really. I barely go to the bathroom without him. She leans in, kisses my cheek. I ignore the prickles of heat where her lips touched my skin. Despite what Sylvie does for a living, she's an attractive woman and it's a natural reaction. Instead, I focus on the fact she's baiting me. I get it, but why taunt her mother? Hannah slides an enormous kitchen knife free from a wooden block. She slices through a yellow onion, expertly chops, uses her fingernails as a gauge. Do you believe in psychics, Thomas? Sylvie bats her eye at me. She's enjoying this. I believe that your daughter believes, I say. Hannah slits the plastic wrapping on the package of chicken. How about you? I ask. Do you believe? She sniffs. Is that why you're here, Thomas, the journalist, to get testimonials from Sylvie's parents? I switch directions. Mostly I want to know what Sylvie was like as a child. What were you like? Hannah asks as she ruthlessly separates chicken fat from meat with the tip of her knife, then rips the lumpy yellow strands free. I've told him, normal, Sylvie says, but I don't think he believes me. I ask, do you have a favorite memory of your daughter? Hannah's knife hesitates, then flicks the chicken fat into the sink. Why don't you answer that, Sylvie? Mom is a photographer. She took most of the photos in our house. I liked going into the dark room with her. Hannah uses the knife to point at a shot of Mount Hood that's hung to her right. The mountain's white peaks are painted pink. She took that one. Careful, Mom, you sound proud, Sylvie chides. For a moment, they're not estranged, just a daughter teasing her mom. Then Hannah looks right at Sylvie and says, there's before and after. Your father and I live in the latter. We haven't been proud of you for a long time. Sylvie's hand darts to her chest where Hannah's mortar round smolders. Her words on the train come back. Have you ever considered that you're the vampire? You tear people's lives apart for a story and you don't care about who you hurt in that process. Redirecting the conversation, I ask, what do you know about Sylvie's birth parents? Hannah scowls. Why would you ask that? 1, your last comment was cruel. 2, your daughter lied about her early childhood, claimed she can't recall it. Instinct tells me when I dig up the truth about that, add to whatever I glean from the time I spend with you and Sylvie's dad, and after she bombs at her next show, I'll have irrefutable evidence and Annie will publish my expose front page. The only negative is that you'll dance on your daughter's grave. When I was doing my research, I couldn't find much about them, I explained. I don't know anything about those people. That's a shame. It'd be really interesting for my readers to know if one of Sylvie's biological parents also had her gift. All I know is that they died in a small plane crash, Hannah says, lips pursed as she slices broccoli lengthwise. Where was the crash? Hannah touches her neck, someplace in Oregon. She scrapes vegetables into a glass bowl, then pours shiitake mushrooms from a paper bag onto the cutting board. The brown nubbins bounce along the scored wood. Using a damp towel, she carefully cleans them. Do you know the name of the town? Sylvie asks. I glance at her. Sylvie shrugs like she's just being helpful. I don't, Hannah tells her. Neither does Wes. We never asked. When the foster care woman came up the driveway with you, we didn't look back. She's awfully quick to answer for her husband. Huh, you mentioned foster care. Hannah slices the mushrooms skillfully, flicks them into the bowl with the other vegetables. What about it? They don't have much of a record from your daughter's time with them. They're overwhelmed, I suppose. Can't be easy trying to find good homes for so many kids. A lot of them remain in the system until they age out at 18. They never have a family. Hannah glances at Sylvie to make sure her point landed. Loud and clear, Sylvie says with a crooked smile. I fight the urge to say something cutting to defend her. But this isn't my fight, and Sylvie isn't my girlfriend. I'm here for the truth, no matter how ugly. Pulling a twist of ginger from a silver colander, Hannah uses her knife to separate the rough bark from the off-white flesh with short, violent strokes. You'd think there would be something I press, at least the names of other families she was with before you. Hannah's head snaps up, her eyes drilled into Sylvie's. Do you recall other families? Sylvie shakes her head. Hannah glowers and says, then I guess once you left them, they didn't matter to you anymore.